is Digivation Network.
Okay, we are here for the future summit, yes, talking about the future now. Can you just tell us your own take about the event today, what we should expect, and what you're ready to tell us?
Yeah, I think what we are trying to do is to look into the future today. You know, at the moment, what does the future hold for us? Particularly in this exciting technology, the ICT world. And I believe that is why this summit was convened, and that is why experts, captain of industries, academia, and people like us in the training sector are here to rub minds, share our experiences, and say our projections of what the future will be.
I want to say that the future is here, and I think this summit is not addressing any other issue than that. And when you talk of the future is here, everything that surrounds us suggests the advancement of beyond the fifth technology revolution. And because we are talking about beyond the fifth technology revolution, there is need for a discourse for us as a nation, Africans, and indeed the world, to be able to know how we're going to position ourselves to be able to meet up with the challenges that may come with such revolution, as it were. So I think it's in order for us to have this kind of summit whereby we can have that kind of discourse to be able to look at things surrounding the evolution, the rapid, fast evolution of technology, as it were. So my expectations are enormous, because if this kind of thing do not happen, as a nation, we would have shot ourselves on the foot, as it were. So I believe that the document, or maybe the communique, or whatever, the paper that will come out of this summit, will be that will be addressed by every sector, every facet of the nation, the government, the policy runners, and the implementator of the policy, as it were. So my expectations are quite enormous and massive.
All right, I'm actually here to gain knowledge concerning the tech industry, which is actually the future, things pertaining to the future. So I'm here to gain that kind of knowledge on how to also grow myself in that aspect.
Talking about innovation and technology and looking at the event we have now, the future now, do you think Nigeria is actually ready in terms of, the future of Nigeria is actually ready in terms of innovation, development and technology?
Absolutely. I think we are ready. There are a number of ingredients that we need to have to be able to harness our potential in innovation. And we already have some of those ingredients. The talent is there. We have the opportunity and access to infrastructure in certain circles. We need to expand the access to infrastructure. And we also have the drive and the passion to want to solve problems. And so I think everything is there for us to be able to innovate. The focus of my portfolio is local solutions to local problems. And there's no how you won't employ innovation in that regard. So I think we are more than ready.
Sure, really. We are ready. We are taking our rightful place. If you look at innovation sector, in Africa, we have 8 unicorns. 5 of them are from Nigeria. The 5G that is coming is very soon to be deployed in Nigeria. very first in African nation. And of course, in Nigeria, we're doing really well, great. We're doing great, I believe. Yes.
All right, talking about the 5G, how soon do you think this will be coming in, and what is going to be the effect? Is it positive or negative effect, or what do you feel about the whole 5G network?
Certainly a lot of more positive effects. And I believe by now we have demystified, these talks about the 5G bringing in so many, anomalies and things like that. I believe the NCC have issued license, and those who won the licenses, two companies actually, of Hub Communications and MTN, I believe are ready to deploy the services. I believe it's coming very soon.
When I want to answer that question from my own stand perspective, as it were, as an engineer, I am ready. That's the first answer to the question. I'm ready as an engineer. I'm aware of the global trend. I'm aware of things that are likely to happen in the next 10 years, as it were. But as a nation, just like I'm ready as an individual, there are quite a number of fintech, engineers, computer scientists, environmentalists, and what have you, that are also prepared to meet up with challenges. Because look at the COVID-19. Either we like it or we are living with it. So people are abiding by the rules that comes with it, as it were. So I will say, from my own point of view, that we are ready, but that readiness is also relative. You understand? As a corporate entity, as a nation, I may say we are not ready. You understand? But when you combine the individuals that are ready, which will form a team, you understand, to be able to bring to pass the readiness, then we can say we are ready. Then advocacy, continue mentioning this kind of a thing, we begin to spur up our consciousness to the fact that we must be ready. So I would say that relatively we are ready.
Nigeria is ready. They are ready. Compared to what is happening in Nigeria today, Nigeria is ready. Mainly our youth, they are ready. Taking us back, our youth is not going back. They are not going back. We are going forward. And we are looking up to God. We are praying that God will give us somebody that will take us high. Somebody that is taking us high. I don't want to mention names. I don't want to call back names. We are moving forward because this is a media. We are talking about media session now. Somebody that will take us high. If you are looking at what is happening in Nigeria now, you will see that our boys, our youth, our girls, they have open eyes. Even mothers, fathers, everybody have open eyes. We want to move forward. We need somebody that will take us.
With time, I believe Nigeria will become one of those nations that will actually involve many of our youth into technology. But now, not about our awareness. Our awareness is not as much as that.
Now, looking at your organization, what are they doing as it stands right now? What are they doing in terms of development, policies, startup, and the rest of it?
Okay.
What are they?
So I'm part of the Lagos State Science Research and Innovation Council. What we do is that we fund startups. And over the past 2 years, we funded a number of startups, almost 60 in number. We also fund R&D in universities with the aims of bringing out inventions and patents. We are also helping to drive the legislation of the startup bill for Lagos State to localize it and make sure that the enablement for technology startups is there. We are also, implementing infrastructure projects like our fiber optic project. If you drive around the city, you'll see all these multicolored ducts coming out of the ground. You understand? So those ducts are the housing for fiber cables that will deliver internet. So right now we're implementing about 3,000 kilometers of fiber optic cable across the city, which will increase the connection and will increase digital penetration around the city. We're also driving a technology campus project in Yaba. And I could go on and on. I don't think we have the time. So there's a lot we are doing to make sure that we innovate and we have the infrastructure to be able to do this.
And the final question, sir, what is your company, DBI? Yes, if I'm not mistaken. What are you doing to ensure that innovation and technology would come or would stand?
First of all, I think people and our viewers need to know that the Digital Bridge Institute, DBI, is set up by the Nigerian Communications Commission way back in 2004 to support, innovation, to support human capital development and things like that. And the DBI have 6 campuses, one in each of the 6 geopolitical zones of the nation, courtesy of the NCC, rather. And we are doing great, to lead and help our youth and inventors. We sponsor so many hackathons. We do train so many people. So far, the Digital Bridge has trained over 150,000 people in the digital world. Yeah.
Today is a different day because we are talking about the future now. The impact that technology is going to have, not likely to have. Our behavioral pattern is already being altered by what technology has provided for us. And our economic and social life has already been altered by what technology has provided for us. And we are beginning to see changes, giving birth to what we now call the digital economy. And that requires new skills, new knowledge, new ideas, creating a new people, a new, crop of people to ensure that that is realized. And I'm not going to take much of the time, but to let you know that we are in a new world where if you're not prepared for tomorrow, do not blame anyone for say that your nation does not fail, does not pass rather. We are in a situation where technology has altered everything, okay? Before now, if you are going to go on a TV station, you needed to call anyone. But today, if you are going to go on a TV station, you may have to call your friend or families to say, I'm going on so channel today, and at this time. When you're done, you still send them a link that I was on TV channel so that they can watch you. What does that tell you? Tell you that there's a paradigm shift. What is a paradigm shift? You can't go back. So we are going to see a lot of death and rebirth in the next, line of things or decade, that we are going into. And to survive, for Africa to survive, Africa requires that political will. Africa requires the new skills. Africa requires, digital content that will, match the new world order that we are going into. And Africa requires the new knowledge to ensure that we thrive in the new digital economy. And very lastly, the kind of policies, we have to ensure that the kind of people we are pushing into political arena to lead us must be digitally minded to ensure that we bring about a digital Nigeria, we bring about a digital Africa. And thank you all for coming. And I can see that the future is bright, and the future is now. Thank you very much.
For
meeting and bringing everybody here and trying to look through the future, what the future will be at the moment. And I believe that's brought in proper people that will do justice. Yeah. Future. Media, we are happy about it. And one who's better again is team. All that. Yeah. Brought good wish all what we are going to do. Thank you very much.
Management and our able Director General, CEO, Engineer Aliu Aziz. As we all know in NIPSI, we are futuristic. Our future is now because we have been providing a shared identity for all Nigerians. So, on this note, I'll say everybody in this room, you must be registered. You must have a national identification number. Because when we are talking about the future, and we are talking about Nigeria, we are talking globally. The future is now in NIPSI with your NI. Thank you. I wish you a wonderful summit.
From Nigeria side, we want to say very congratulations to our brother.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. To our brother Agabi, who has been part and parcel of us all through these years. He has been one of us and has seen the transformation and what we have gone through with this. On behalf of management of Nigerian Communications Limited, we want to say congratulations to Digivation and the summit going on here. We want to say job well done to everybody. We hope one day, soonest, the whole country will be, digitally inclusive. Thank you very much, everyone, and we look forward again once more to having another work together. Thank you very much.
This is 1888. Maybe that's why you see me carrying the white there. And I was part of my school principal is here, the man that produced me, Professor Idea. I left the school sometimes in 1976. Just because I belong to the old, who has always gotten their eye in the future. Both the school that produced me, that is still in existence, still talking about modernizing Nigeria. The essence of that phase in 1896 was to modernize Nigeria. And they are still bringing the pitch as of today. And that's why you have the professor. The SCCI in 1888 was to modernize Nigeria. We started with electricity in 1896. We are here, it's about 8 years ago now, being instituted, putting the young people together, providing a platform for them. We have a lot of success stories. This year we'll be doing the 8th edition of ICT by SCCI that have been in Nigeria since 8 years. On behalf of this organization, I welcome you all that whoever relate, because the organization I belong to, both the one for 1896 and the one for 1888, the members never say carry the flag. Please, if there is an industry that can never be exalted, it is industry of knowledge-based industry. And that is what we are representing here. Nigerians have hope because we are here. I welcome you all today that let us have our future in our hands because our brain has been developed to develop. Thank you.
I want to tell you that I'm happy and glad to be in your midst and bring to the felicitation of our Director General, who is unavoidably absent in this occasion, and he has asked me to represent him. Few comments I'll need to make at this time before I will deliver his address subsequently. The future, not only that the future is today or the future is now, the future is with you. And what you make out of it at this moment is what is going to shape your tomorrow. That's why I want to encourage every one of us. If you look around, you will discover that the majority here today, they are young people. And they hold the key of today, not only the key for tomorrow, they hold the key for today that will shape the tomorrow where they are going to live. So I want to encourage us to connect with today, connect with NIDA. I'm going to read Didi's address subsequently. Connect with today, connect with NIDA, connect with the IT. There's quite a lot that is going on in the entire ecosystem we left behind. Join us in the crew so that we can create a digital future for a digital Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Unfortunately, here, of course, exigencies in the schedule. But if there's anything that I would convey, it would be that the governor is extremely passionate about technology. And our approach to technology in Lagos State is that we invest and do what is hard. One of our major programs that we are driving is investment in R&D, in research and development. Now, why do we do that? You know, some people were telling me that, look, why don't you, take this path of least resistance instead? But I always tell them a story. You know, in the 1950s and 60s, the U.S. government started major research programs around genomics, right? And there came, in the early 70s, a company called Genentech. They took some of the research that the government had done and built on it. Now, a ton of that research and development in the 70s is what led to today's COVID vaccine, right? And so that work has been going on for the past 25 to 50 years, right? And so, if there's any message I have for young people today, and for everybody else in this room, do what is hard. Because we will reap the benefits very soon. And that is what is driving our approach in Lagos State to research and development, to technology investment. You will not see those foundations now, but you will see them in the future. Thank you very much for having us. Thank you. Thank you.
Society, Dr. Moy, the chairman of the Certain Development Organization. You all believe, you all agree with me that NCS are trying one way or other to bring all the stakeholders together in the area of digital technology, both in the academia, the industry, and the policy makers. NCS have been a champion in so many things in this particular direction. And then we lend our voices to policies that actually will drive this economy in the country. And then whatever any policy and also we try to effect and see to the implementation of some of the policy that actually will bring a digital economy. The nearest future, what the top of the future, as someone has said, is already here. So all these are what some of the things that the NCS is all about to achieve and is achieving. So on behalf of the President, I send my greetings to the convener of this program. It is a wonderful program. Thank you.
Remember Top Count Dawn, and the fact that it was Bongo Ziegler that sang the song. Will he ever get there? Will he ever make it? Will he ever hear the sound of the rock and roll?
This should be the Friday Summit, not the Future Summit.
And I actually also concur with the gentleman who said that was the future, because Cockerel at Dawn, when it was produced at NTA, was actually being produced on celluloid. It was produced on celluloid. They were actually watched. They were, you know, they watched the prints in London and they bring it back. That was when it started. Because at the time that Nigeria got into television and colored television in 1975 with MTV Jaws and moved on upwards, I think there was around 60 television stations, and France had just 5. And so it is a bit, how do I put it, unique that now we go on the DSTV platform and we watch stories that have what I call generic content on the line kidnappings that's been sponsored from South Africa. When you have a country that's over 400 million people, the rainbow of communities, and lovely stories that you can actually tell about Nigeria. And yet today what we actually watching is tinsel. When if you watch Olafani Kayode Mirror in the Sun, or you watch Ripples, or you watch, you know, Village Headmaster, you actually go out and see what makes you Nigerian, and why our women are the most beautiful, the dresses they wear, and why Africans may weep in Nigeria. At a point in time when I was studying film in the United States, in Ohio University, when I went the first time, I took all my suits and jeans. And then when I went for a conference, because Ohio University, the film department is mostly, it's very white, 200 and something years university. I decided when I came back for a visit, I'd just be all traditional Nigerian dresses. And every time I'm going to deliver a seminar in school, I wear Nigerian dresses. Then all my white friends, if I'm giving them gifts, I give them just so anything traditional and I give them, and they wear it with jeans, and we go for Bali Day. You know, because at the end of the day, what we watch today, where people clad in skimpy method dresses, it's not really the Nigerian stories you'd like to tell, because we're buying DSTV, and you know, this is basically what we're fed. All the storytellers that can tell Nigerian stories, real Nigerian stories. I'm talking about everything that, you know, from stories of Obavariwan, you know, you want to go to, you know, you want to go to Yoruba mythology, and you tell stories of resonance and meaning and aesthetic density, and at the end of the day, you don't even tell it, because you're aping, you know, someone else whose, you know, basic worldview was leaving from where they were to cross to Joburg in the evening because, you know, there was a competition. We're here raising money for them at that time. So you see, what we've lost with the creative industry is truly sad. And then we don't even have history in our secondary schools. You know, I acted on Tales by Moonlight. And I think the story I did about 40 years ago was called The Mysterious Ball. You know, and it's so sad. You know, what we've lost with creativity, what we're allowing parade itself as Nigerian creativity.
Brings its appreciation to the organizers and to all the participants. Before I read this address, I just want to make just a few comments, especially as regards to what the Nasarawa State governor and the government is doing. Currently, they have done amazingly very well in the area of ICT. They are partnering with NIDA in quite a lot of other things in terms of their policy, in terms of their digital working group. And it's also a call to many other states and many other groups and many other stakeholders to take a cue and collaborate with NIDA so that together we all can make a digital future for a better digital Nigeria. So on that note, I want to read the address of my DG who couldn't be here with us this morning. It is an honor and privilege to be here with you today to deliver a paper at this important event, the Digivation Future Summit 2022. The focus of this event, which is on the future now, resonates with the global trend and align with the aspiration of the agency, which is to proactively develop Nigeria into a sustainable digital economy. Hence, digital skills for development, being the subject of my presentation, remain a critical part to the future of digital economy. The aptness and timeliness of this event could therefore not be overemphasized. Our current reality points to the fact that the future of the world economy is digital. If you look at what the World Economic Forum report says, that 60% of the global GDP will be digitized even in the next decade. Now, it also says that digital platforms will be used to create close to about 70% of the value. The digital economy is expanding across the globe, although at an uneven pace. Across different countries, as the future of work predicts that over 90 million jobs will be added to the economy by 2025. As digital economy penetrates as an increasing number of sectors and occupations, sections of the workforce that are non-ICT profession and occupation require more specialized digital competencies, technicians, and specialists. Hence, the National Information Technology Development Agency has been conducting series of digital skill capacity building for both literate and non-ICT literate. Neither under the supervision of the Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy is leading the digital literacy drive within the IT ecosystem by walking the talk. On our own part, we have we realized at NIDA that if the future is digital, then what about today? What do we need to build today? What do we need to do today so that we're able to conquer the tomorrow? Digital skills becomes an imperative for everyone with no exception. If we are going to succeed in the digital arena for the digital tomorrow, the digital skill is something that is inevitable. That's why in our strategic roadmap and action plan 2021 to 2024, we have created a separate section, a focus area on digital skills and literacy. And the overarching ambition of that particular pillar is to ensure that by the year 2030, 95% of Nigerians are digitally literate. We have started building those capacities across board, working with various stakeholders, working with the industry, and working also with the private people, and also within the government sector. To that effect, we have what we call the Digital Transformation Working Group, which have been established in the government agencies, in the federal public institutions. About 107 institutions have actually keyed into the digital working group, technical working group. Now, in that line also, the capacity of about 678 civil servants have also been built and developed and is skilled to be able to connect and help and support in the digitalization effort of the government. We also have the NIDA Academy of Research and Training. Now, that NIDA Academy Research and Training is an online platform which has been developed. It's out there because that people are using to be trained. And through that particular online platform, NIDA have trained close about 500,000 participants have benefited or have been trained through that process. Digital inclusion also is part of our strategy to ensure that every part, every segment of the economy is also empowered or skilled in the area of digital technologies. To that effect also, the women are not left out, the people living with disability are not left out, the children are not left out,
even the young ones, the teachers in schools are not left out. These are part of the programs that we have all put in place to ensure that across the board, whether you're young or you're old, you are digitally empowered to be able to play your own key role within the digital economy space. We also have what we call the Digital State Initiatives. Under this program also, we have trained close about over nearly above 6,000 participants through the Digital State Initiative. Now, recently, it's not long ago, we had a Cisco training across 30 universities in Nigeria. And through that program also, we have trained over 1,650 participants, and the program is still ongoing. We also have various other programs that we collaborate with. We also collaborate with young people also to build their capacity in the area of digital entrepreneurship, in the area of innovation. And in the area of innovation particularly, we have specific pillar on digital innovation and entrepreneurship as part of the focus we have in delivering and to proactively develop Nigeria into a sustainable digital economy. And in that pillar, we have been able to build the capacities of young people, build the capacity of tech hubs. Presently, we have partnered with the various tech hubs in Nigeria across the 6 political zones to build the capacity of those hub owners and also get them to get young interns. Now, those interns are also going to be trained within those hubs while leaders support them with some money, support them with the curriculum, and support them in every way they can so that they will have the required skill, build an entrepreneur, and be on their own instead of going ahead to hub where people come and we take your idea from conception, we support you to ideation level until it is market ready. We have all the equipment that is required. We have it's a fab lab. You can come there and fabricate the equipment. In fact, it is open for everyone to come. The office is right there in Abuja. We call it National Center for Artificial Intelligence and Robotics. It is right there, fully equipped, open to the public. It is a digital office for digital Nigeria. So we want to invite everyone to take the opportunity of what NEDA has so that we can move Nigeria into a sustainable digital future. The NEDA intervention of the National Adopted Villages for Smart Agriculture is a test case where registered farmers, service providers, and others can have access to farm input and expand their market using digital technology. The informal manufacturing sector may also benefit from digital technology such as the 3D printing that allows for small scale and customizable tools. Finally, ensuring that all citizens, especially young people, have basic digital skill is crucial to the extension of e-government services and for inclusion in the new economy. To this extent, to the extent to which disruptive technology changes in level saving in Africa will depend on the number of routine tasks and jobs that might make susceptible to automation, relative wages, and also lag in adoption of technology. With advancement in technology innovation, especially digital technology, there is a great deal of development that can be achieved through digital skill capacity building for the betterment of society. Accordingly, I want to commend the organizers of this summit who are already committed to this cause. Thus, I urge you all here present to make necessary partnership and collaboration to create a new digital future for a digital Nigeria. On this note, I want to say thank you for listening.
Quickly into our sessions for the lead speaker this morning is the founder and managing director of New Horizons Nigeria, a franchise holder of the US-based New Horizons International, the world's #1 ICT training institution. New Horizons International is reputed for its global impact with offices in 85 countries, a daily student attendance of over 4 million, and the first choice of the top Fortune 500 companies for most of their training needs. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, please join me to make welcome Mr. Tim Akao, founder and managing director of New Horizons, as the lead speaker for today, as we go straight into the discussion. Please, a round of applause.
Power. There's nothing the young ones can do. Whether leader trains them, you train them, and they have to buy I spend about 50 million to buy diesel every month. So for them to have something profitable, it's going to take them years. And that's why today, Nigerian youth we have the highest number of migrants to Canada, to Australia, to New Zealand, because they find it so difficult to survive. I've been in business for about 20 years now, before then Coca-Cola, before then Unilever. But things have changed. And the last 40 years, we are the only oil exporting country that has remained stagnant. When I mean stagnant, I mean stagnant. The per capita income 40 years ago was $2,000 off in Nigeria. The per capita income today is the same $2,000. Norway, with a population of 5 million people, produces 38,000 megawatts of electricity for 5 million people. Libya, that is in war, has 120% capacity of electricity with 6.9 million people. Dubai, 18,000 megawatts. Venezuela, only two. All other oil countries in the world, they have something tangible to show for it, except Nigeria. Why? So for those of us in government, I want us to think deep that in the next 100 years, the people that will be here, what are they going to say about us? So on this note, I'll run through the slides and then I'll make it very brief because I know you don't have so much time, but I know it's very important for the youth that I lead, that I continue to make this point anywhere I find myself. The reason why they run to Canada is not because they want to go to Canada. The reason why they run to Canada is that they can't do what I do in the last 20 years. They can't. If you go to bank and they take a loan at 30% and they buy this now at 800 naira, no, they cannot survive. So please, those of us in government, let's think deep and see what we can do to change the scenario. Okay, my first slide here says that, yes, I put this slide on and it's probably one of the most important slides. This is what the future looks like. In 1900, we have 2 billion people in the world. In 2000, we've increased to 6 billion people. And in 2020, 2 years ago, we are almost 8 billion people in the world. And in 2050, how many years from now, we are going to be almost 10 billion people. When you look at the second slide, the second line, the lifespan or expectancy, in 1900 people lived for 31 years. This is global. Nigeria, then maybe we didn't capture that, but it's global. In 2000, people lived for 67 years on the average. In 2020, people lived for 72 years. In 2050, we are going to be living on the average 77 years. In Japan, they are already living for 85, 90 years. In China, the same. In Nigeria, we improved about 30 years ago, we are 42, so we are about 52 now. But generally, people are living for 72 years on the average globally now. Japan, China, they are the highest, they live longest. And when you look at our GDP, in 1900, 3.4 trillion, in 2000, 66 trillion, in 2020, 95 trillion, in 2050, 165 trillion. And when you look at climate, every time things are getting hotter. You can see 13.7, now 14.9, and then every year it will be increasing by 1.5 degrees Celsius. And when you look at the land mass, this is where the question is, this exam. The land mass remains the same, but human beings were increasing. The two culprits are India and Nigeria, or Africa. Let's say India and Africa. The birth rate is about 4.9 for the two continents, one country, one continent. 4.9. In developed countries, they're actually flat. France is flat, Japan is flat. So, but we are the one driving the world population. This is what Elon Musk saw. This is what Bill Gates saw. But he came out with different conclusions. Elon Musk saw this and he said, what will happen? let me start preparing for the space. Dubai people saw this and they said, what will happen? I don't know how many of you still remember that Dubai has a minister for space, less than 30 years old. That in the next 100 years, let's prepare our children for the life in space. Bill Gates saw this, he came up with a different conclusion that medicine should be able to do something about this. Because the landmass is not increasing, and we are increasing. And the scientists say that this universe can only, this world can only take 8 billion people comfortably. And now we've gotten to the 8 billion. We've gotten to the age, every child that is born now is excess luggage to the effect of the world. Every, I know some of you still want to have children. I've had my own. But this is what the scientists say. So for any of you today that is living here, the youth, take note of this figure and draw your own conclusion. Facebook saw this, it thought, okay, what if I can connect 5 billion people on one platform? Amazon saw this, it says, what if I can connect the whole world on a platform? Alibaba, Jack Ma saw this, he built a platform. So for any of us that for tomorrow, this is the most important slide for you. You can draw any conclusion you want to see. If you are in drug manufacturing, you can draw a conclusion. How do I ensure that when people live to be 72, they are still living in strong health? So what medicine, what multivitamins can you produce? This is opportunity. This is also a danger sign, depending on your interpretation. Second slide. Second slide. Okay. The conclusion here is that all local disciplines, since the beginning of the world, these are the 4 fundamental forces that rule the world. 4. And for the youth that are here today, you've got to understand this. The Newton gravity force is one of the number 1 that rules the world. When Newton saw apple falling, it occurred to him, can the sky fall with apple? That's when they started thinking. And that's what led to the first industrial revolution of 1800. This law. Newton gravity force. The second is electromagnetic force. Thomas Edison saw this because at times when people say, oh, Nigeria, we are still too young, we are 60 years. Any of you can go back and check. At age 60, America has already solved the problem of electricity. Age 60. From the research of Thomas Edison. He uses this electromagnetic force to solve it. And then the weak nuclear force and the strong nuclear forces. The importance of this is that the world is ruled by science and technology, not by religion, dogma. So for any of us who is here today, and you want to make an impact, you want to dent the world, don't make an impact on the world, it is ruled by science and technology. And I'll give you an example. In 1500, Europe was called a medieval Europe, was behind Ottoman Empire, was behind China Empire. The China Empire already invented paper, printing technology, and gunpowder. Ottoman Empire was almost capturing Europe because Ottoman Empire focused on science and technology. China also focused on science and technology. Europe focused on witchcraft, catching of witches, putting them on trial, and religion. But something changed. Ottoman Empire started also focusing on religion. And the Muslim religious leaders taught people that don't go for science and technology because it's anti-Quran. Let's focus on religion teaching. So they dumped science and technology. From the time Ottoman Empire dumped science and technology, from that time to today, they are done. From the time China got involved in the kind of crisis, civil crisis, that Nigeria has been involved in the last 60 years, they're also going down. So which means, and at the same time, that was the time of age of enlightenment in any of us who knows history in Europe. So Europe started investing in science and technology. And the more money they put in science and technology, the more advancement they make, the more growth they have. So within a period of 50, 100 years, Europe overtook Ottoman Empire. They overtook China. And that's still the status quo up to today. So the conclusion here, once again, for our youth, we can pray, but prayer has never brought any civilization up. Prayer has never developed any country. You can quote anywhere. There is no country in the world, no civilization in the world that was built by prayer. All civilizations were built by what? Science and technology. And these are the four fundamental laws that build civilization. Next slide. So go ahead. Okay. What are the forces that all of us must look out for as we go into the future? There are about 8 forces I put here. The first one is technology. We'll talk about technology. The second one is demographics, which I've also talked about. The demographic, people are going to live longer. All of us should prepare to live for about 100 years, 120 years. I told my friend in the military one day, one 8 p.m., he was 60, and I said, 8 p.m., get ready, you are going to live another 60 years. I said, no, he almost collapsed. He said, what am I going to be eating? What am I going to feed upon? But medicine has improved, so demography is improving. Demography has changed. People will live longer. So the youth, you are going to have one good problem on your hands. You are going to be feeding more people with the little people that are working are going to result for the life of the people who have not died. So they are going to live for 120 years. So, yes. The other force you must look at is globalization. So that's changing the world. The world is connected. And then you look at urbanization. Lagos. In the next 20 years, globally, about 70% of the people will live in cities. So it's already happening. See, every day I have some pictures of Lagos. If you see Lagos, you say, wow, how are people surviving here? Without metro line, without this. So this will continue. So cities like Lagos, cities like Nasarawa, because when Abuja is filled up, there will overflow. So this becomes an issue. And then there's another big issue for the leaders, income distribution. The more unequal income is distributed, the more unrest society has. That's what led to NSAS. And it's widening every time. And then the world currency, there is a war now among the world currency. Since the Ukraine war, the Russian currency has increased by 40%. 40%. And it's fighting dollar. Yuan is fighting dollar. So we don't actually know. These are the forces we need to look at. And then environmental sustainability. Environmental sustainability is both a danger and an opportunity for the youth, in the sense that you can look at how can we sustain our environment better. Then there are so many NGOs that are funding that globally today. Next slide. Next slide. So the world is going to work on 6 legs in future. The first one is platform economy. Any of you who wants to be rich, you have to think global and start local. Uber is just 2 laptops, and they have the largest vehicles today in the world. Only 2 laptops. 2 guys, only 2 laptops. What did they do? They built a platform. So the fastest way and the biggest money today is not in the refinery, it's not in sugar. The biggest money today is in platform. Jeff Bezos, who is one of the richest men in the world, what does he have? Platform. Facebook, what does he have? Platform. Jack Ma of Alibaba, what does he have? Platform. Did you check Chinese man? Is a teacher, or he was a teacher. Platform. So the world, for any of you in Africa or Nigeria, think platform. Want to build any business today? I didn't build platform. So you cannot be a major global player without building platform. Today, the world has changed from the time we started business 20 years ago. 20 years ago, we say MD, CEO, whatever. But today, it's just in your bedroom. Build a platform and a TikTok. Who knows the TikTok is a China boy who just built a platform. And the platform became successful during COVID. People are bored and they want to laugh, and they just told people, just do any video and make people laugh. Today is a multi-billion-dollar business. Trump became so jealous that he told the guy, if you do not take it to the stock exchange and everybody buys into it, I'm going to ban you and go back to China. So he was false because he has captured the data of everybody. There is one of you that has not seen TikTok now. There is a lot of young people making money on TikTok. It's ordinary platform. What does it take to build a platform? Just have a skill in graphic design and web development. I believe even if you don't have that skill, engage somebody who has a skill. Just tell them what platform you want them to build. So because data is good now. So secondly, the world is going to be radical. Things will not be the way we've done it. I always tell my children, if you are as smart as me and you are as brilliant as me, you still cannot code in the new world. Because in those days when we left the university, it's only the British we competed with. There was no China, no India. But today you are going to compete with 8 billion people in the world. In one of those that I worked for about 10,000 staff, we had only 10 white. But today, they don't need to come, Indians don't need to come to Nigeria to work in Nigeria because of the power of the internet. So the world is going to be radical. And the world is going to be on the go. Everything is on the go. Learning is on the go. Retail is on the go. Even the food we are going to eat is on the go. And then, Tuban will talk about it. Most importantly, the world is going to be tribal. How many of us know that the news you consume globally, only 7 companies are responsible for them. 80% of the news. 80% of the news you consume globally, 7 companies are responsible. One of them is Google. Another one is Amazon. 7. So that is tribal media. And every other thing too is going to be tribal. The payment will be tribal. Everything will be tribal. So the challenge for us in Africa is also to see how can we build something that we can control and we can leverage upon. And finally, the world is going to be dog kill dog. How? Russia is already eating Ukraine. China is about to eat Taiwan. Azerbaijan is eating Armenia. So there are so many, there will be no more, it's going to be, going forward, it's going to be a dog-eat-dog war. So get ready for the youth, get ready. It's going to be a dog-eat-dog war. So just be strong. It's only the strong that will survive. So we got into that level again where we are 200 years ago, where it's a survival of the strongest. So now the survival of the strongest. If Ukraine is not as strong as it is, Russia's intention is to overrun them in 1 week. Same way they did to Georgia. But now it's 4 months, they are still there. But then it's a pattern already. And the world is going to be like this in the future. Okay, go ahead. Okay, yes, here. Who is you? The you in you is going to be lost going forward into the future. The authentic you is no more going to be you as we go into the future. How many of you know that there are about 2,000 companies that monitor everything you do every second on the web? 2,000 companies every day, every second, including some government agencies. So what they do is to understand you and then work on your mind to change your mind for the purpose of profit. So when you see those things they advertise to you, you wonder, how did they know I love this? How did you know I love this? Because it is the you has been distorted. You are now in a tech box, and it's almost an illusion that you are the one that is deciding some of the things you decide right now. And it's going to continue. So everything you will experience in life is within your body. The gadget is going to be inside your body going forward. The medicine is going to be things you swallow not to get sick again. It's produced already. And your new master is the mobile phone, big data, and wearable gadgets. Go ahead, next slide. Next slide. So the exam is this. How do you run faster than Google? The AI in Google. And then, how to know yourself before they actually provide you. So that's the exam you need to do going forward. One of the dangers of the AI is the self-replicating robots. Will robots ever get to a level whereby they become so intelligent and so we've heard about spiritual machine, and the day the robot is able to decide what to do to you, that is the day this civilization is threatened. And we're almost getting to that level. First, we've got a robot that can replicate robots. But can they one day decide to produce a robot that will not obey your instruction, that will obey their own instruction? Those are spiritual machines, and it's already in the pipeline. So go ahead. So in education, we talk about how do we survive? How do we produce people that will be for leader, that will be impactful? Now it's about skill, no more about certificates. Now it's about amoebic profession. In our own lifetime, if you are an engineer, you are an engineer for life. But it's not going to be like that again. Every 10 years, you are going to change your profession based on what is happening in the society. Because life is not going to remain like it was for us 50 years, no change. Oh, I engineer for life. No, you are not going to survive. Every 10 years, you must decide again what is relevant, what is left on the table for you to do. And then, gender field. So go ahead, next slide. Let's brush it. In terms of jobs, who are the losers, who are the winners? Well, the losers are any job that can be automated. You don't have a job. You don't have a job, including the media that Gabby was telling me today. He has stepped up. I say congratulations. Because robots is reading news. You've heard about robot reading news. But the kind of job AWNC is doing, robot can't do that. So you have a job. I can't say this castle doesn't have a job. So, but the winners are things like garbage collection. Those who are law enforcement agents. So those jobs will be there forever. And then gardeners, construction, plumbers, nurses, we are going to continue to need because we are going to live longer. So we all need nurses to be taking care of us. And that's why nurses are some of the highest paid people in US and Canada today. So next slide. We have 3 more slides to go. So cracking the web code. Where is the money for the future? The money is in blockchain. Blockchain is going to replace the current notes, currency we are using. So it's going to go digital, and when it goes digital, it's going to be on blockchain. The MC was asking, when will she be able to sit in her room and actually vote without going out? We have a blockchain technology that can do the voting. All of us will vote on our phone, and we all see the result within 1 second, and we even see the numbers is going up or going down, SDP is going, APC is going down, PDP is going up. We can all see that. And there is no rigging, because blockchain is a distributed technology. So it's not hackable. So blockchain, for any of you who still have the youthful brain to study anything in computing, go for blockchain. But if you don't want to go for blockchain, go for data science. Data science are the highest paid people today. in the world. So AI people, they are the highest people paid today in the world. So on any of these things, and the dead say for science in Lagos talk about genomics. So because our cells will be edited as we go into the future. So next slide. Okay, women have come, and in 1960 we had only one woman leader, one woman. As of today, we have 15 of them, and it's going to continue to increase. So the implication of this is that men should watch less Premier League because women are going to take over. You should watch less Premier League and spend more time in your food. Next slide. Next slide. So their child needs to be more educated. The multiplier effect is actually higher when you educate the girl child. And I said for men and boys, you have boys, I have all boys, so we must make sure they watch less television, less Premier League. Well, the mature, this is the last slide. Marriage is going to become obsolete. Yes, it's already obsolete. Okay, yes. It's not going to be necessary again. Because of robots, everything. So things have changed beyond. And then single parenting is going to be the order of the day. In 31 countries, 60% of beds were born from married women. And it's going to be like this forever. It's going to continue to increase. So if you have a worship center and say, okay, you are not married, don't come to this worship center, you are not going to have anybody inside the place. So because it has changed. And then there will be a complete restructuring of global financial system. Last slide, go. So, as we conclude, the world is going to be divided into 4 countries. Right now we are divided into 2, developing. And all of us know that just about 4 weeks ago, JP Morgan removed the name of Nigeria from emerging markets because they said, you read it? Yeah, you read it. They said there is no evidence of the oil windfall on Nigeria. So going forward, the world is going to be divided into four blocks. The unserious countries, the smart countries, and the mature countries. So for us, the unserious countries are the ones that their per capita income is static, like that of Nigeria for 40 years. We are at the same level with Singapore in 1960. South Korea at the same level. But Singapore today is $65,000 per capita income. Nigeria still remains as 2,000. So the smart countries are the Israel, Singapore, UAE, China, Scandinavian countries. Those ones there, per capita income is around $60,000. And then we have mature. Europe is already mature. So there is no much progress there again. Japan is already mature. Japan is faced with 3 tragedies. They live, aging population, they live longer, and then they are not giving birth to children, and they are not taking migrants. So in the next, by 2050, Japan population will reduce from 112 million to 80 million. So last slide. So there is a process of deglobalization right now. Nationalism is taking over, and the non-state actors will become more powerful. Non-state actors like Amazon, like Twitter, like Facebook. The power in their hands is enormous and unaccountable. When they wanted to remove Nigeria, and we panicked because we cannot afford to be off the social media for too long. So the power in their hands is enormous and is unaccountable. And there will be a continuous destabilization of mineral-rich countries like Nigeria, like Afghanistan, like DRC, Dr. Congo, and Ukraine. So, and in terms of health, we are going to be having genetic modification. So if you are pregnant, we can deal with the pregnancy in the womb, because once they tamper with the cells, some things that are hereditary can be removed. They did a study in the US that there is about 10 generations of a family that they've been criminals. So when they look at the gene, they saw that the 10, not 4, not 5, 10 was criminal, 9 was criminal, 8 was criminal, 7 was criminal. Yeah, now it is possible to remove that gene of criminality. And then, right now, we're looking for an idea of the kind of platform that will sell in future. Body organ platform will sell in the future. The same way Alibaba is selling now, the same way Jeff Bezos is making money now. These are the ways Elon Musk thinks. That's how he became the richest man in the world. He thinks crazy. He woke up one day and said, I will buy $2,044 billion. That's crazy. He said, are you mad? He said, yes, something like that. So, everybody is thinking of setting up a new platform. There is no platform today where they sell human organs. Human organs not the way you kill people, but they grow human organs in pig. They grow human organs in whatever animals. And then they harvest them, and then they sell them. But this is about 20 years to come. Not now. And then, let's go. Next slide. Next slide. So, conclusion. I read. Understanding the future requires you to discard the way you think today. You delete ideas that seem natural and look immutable today. There are so many ideas that look natural to us. Because we grew up with those ideas, you have to delete them. And then governance will become government of the 1%, by the 1%, for the 1% of people. The future comes in fit and start for those who are scared if they will be still relevant tomorrow. The question to ask yourself is that what next is valuable when certain tasks have been commoditized? What next is left on the table? And also, for those who are scared of climate crisis, the good news is that climate change is creating new jobs, new economy, and new billionaires. And I conclude, I ask you, what map? You need a map to navigate the future. Each of us need a map. My conclusion is, what maps are you using to navigate the future? We have the wrong map, we have the old map, we have the bad map, and we have the good map. What map is in your hands? Thank you very much.
Please deserve a standing ovation. Interesting. Interesting. Wow. Wow. All I have to say is wow. Thank you very much for that powerful lead. In fact, the future is scary.
Everybody mo can them the wo. What's up with the baby wo? How we go away? Ajogo, wogu okuna. Anya ti be wa be ku yo.
Digivation Future Summit, a brainchild of a visionary, a brainchild of a man of conviction, a brainchild of a pioneer. May I use this opportunity to once again very auspiciously appreciate the presence and the relentlessness of my president and CEO, Dr. Bayero Agabi. It's not a time to give vote of thanks, but I'd like to appreciate each and every person seated on this panel who are erudites in their own realm, from cybersecurity to artificial intelligence to innovation to policy formation to engineering and to enterprise. So ladies and gentlemen, once again, please kindly help me applaud these excellent panel. My name is Hilary Damisa. Very quickly, we'll be looking at the subject matter before us, the future now. People, policy, businesses, and ideas, generally. When we talk of the future now, the question is this. In recent times, literacy has been redefined as not the inability to read and write, rather the ability to understand digital language in today's world and to use it in perspective. So you would agree with me that a number of us may be seated here who have the ability to read and write. However, we are illiterate in one area or the other. I doubt if all of us seated here can maximize the capacity of our digital devices up to 80%. Statistics have shown that a lot of people are unable to utilize the devices they carry around up on to 80%. Sometimes, some category of those that are seated here, we need to call a particular generation called the Gen Z generation to help them operate some certain kind of devices. If you're in that category, please put your hands together for yourself. All right. Okay, please appreciate yourself. Thank you so much. All right. We are looking at the future now, from policy to innovations to idea to people. I would like to start from my extreme right. We have a man of innovation who is driving the Lagos State Eco Innovation Hub, Mr. Alake Olatubos, who is also the senior advisor to the Lagos State government on innovation. From the angle of policy, sir, from the angle of the public sector, what do we need to do? Some say you don't need to rewrite the wheel, you rather should leapfrog. As a people, in terms of polity, in terms of governance, what do we need to do in order to put Nigeria among the committee of nations going forward?
Okay, thank you very much. I think there are just a few things in my mind that I think we need to do. Number one, we need to spend a whole lot more money on education. And I think if you look at the stats, the average spend on K-12, for instance, K-12 is kindergarten in the US. It's between about $20,000 to $30,000. We do multiple times lower than that. And you know what you put in is what you get out. You understand? So we need a whole lot more money into education. And I think one of the things that Lagos State is doing is a reorganization of its curriculum, especially at the secondary school level. Today, the Commissioner of Education, for instance, is piloting a new education paradigm in the public comprehensive schools where digital education is incorporated into the school system. And so you have practical courses like, coding, robotics. You have things like digital marketing. Some of these practical courses that are being incorporated into the curriculum. So the pilot just started a few months ago in the comprehensive schools, and they are getting enough data to be able to readjust the inputs as it goes along. So that is happening. So a reorganization of that curriculum is really important, and this needs to happen nationwide. You understand? Not just in Lagos, because we need equal distribution of these opportunities across the zones. I think it's also really making the infrastructure available, right? If we talk about digitization now, how are people supposed to engage in the digital economy if the infrastructure is not there, right? And again, that is what is also driving our infrastructure deployment. Our 3,000 kilometer fiber optic cable that we are spreading. If you drive around Lagos, you will see all those multicolored ducts coming out of the ground. So that is our project. 3,000 kilometers of fiber optic cable that will connect all government institutions, schools, public schools and public hospitals, and also the duct infrastructure that will help other telcos also deploy their own fiber optic cable, because government can't connect everywhere. You've got to make it easier for the private sector to be able to connect as well. So we are hoping, at least in Lagos, for an increase in connectivity rates over the next couple of years. You understand? And we know that if we de-risk that market for the telco players, they are able to pass on those savings to customers, right? And so getting online is a much cheaper venture, you understand? So these are some of the things that we think will drive connectivity, improve education and business outcomes in Lagos. But I think the key, right, is to increase that input of education. I think today Lagos State already spends about 14% of its budget on education, which is almost twice the national average. But there's a consistent drive to even increase that number.
Thank you, Mr. Olatubo. So we can appreciate him, please. Titi Adeus is the co-founder and CEO of Nigeria Kids. While I was growing up, there was this slogan that we are the leaders of tomorrow. Today the slogan hasn't changed, and More so today, we tell the children they are the future. The question I'd like to ask you, as a country, as a people, what are we doing, or do we need to do to ensure that the syndrome of catch them young? My agitation is this: should I get to the tertiary institution before I do some courses on aeronautic engineering? Should I get to the tertiary institution before I understand some basics or some rudiments? Like your organization, like their kids, what are you driving? What are you doing to ensure that the children who are the future of tomorrow are playing a critical role in this?
Thank you very much. I like two things that I picked up that the speakers earlier said. One is about the future. We're all here about the future. And he gave us a glimpse of what the future is. The future is the fact that there's blockchain. The future is the fact that there's digital skills. The future is the fact that it will really change. It's tech-driven. And he put Nigeria as a serious country. And as I sat there, I laughed and said, wow, that bad. So when we talk about the future, for me, it's the people that are currently in they have the future. He said something, he said countries invest 100 years in advance, 50 years in advance. So it means that the Nigeria we want to see in 2050, if we step back, when should we start investing in them? So that the people that are currently now, nursery and primary school. And if you're in the city, you see them once you leave your phone, those children. But the question is, what are they learning? Most of that the time, we see that they're playing games. But what should they be learning? Most people that learned how to develop, coding, they didn't learn it in school. They learned it by themselves. They went online. They went to various, and learned it. So it means that a lot of the learning that really happens for the skills that we need for the future, they are not happening in school. And for a long time, I don't see them happening in school. That's why when they talk about the future of school, they don't talk about it in 4 walls. I studied mechanical engineering. I went to university here. In all that time, I didn't touch anything. How I learned to use the computer is that someone came and dropped a computer in my house, and we're on strike. So there's something we need to preach about, the blessedness of strike. So while strike was there, me and my friend just go in the street. And then there were just 2 computers. And my friend said she wanted to learn. I said I wanted to learn. And she said she's looking for somewhere to learn how to use the computer. I'm like, I'm looking for somewhere. And I noticed that the computer gave me 2 books. So I came up with this idea that I would teach her. So at night I would drop the book. In the morning I would teach her, and she paid me. So when the first person paid me, I said, wow, let me just tell this to the second and the third person. So the point that I'm making is that there are a lot of opportunities, but the opportunities are not really in the 4 walls of the schools. A lot of the opportunities are online. There are a lot of schools with debit courses, Coursera courses. I spoke to someone, she was on strike. I said, what are you doing? She said, they're just at home. So my mommy says that she's thinking she changed my school to Bangkok on strike. I said, okay, what are you interested in? She said she wants to be something on communication. I said, so what about being a blogger? Do you know how to blog? Do you know how to create content on graphics? Do you know how to do this? She said, I don't know. So what that means is that the way we need to approach the future needs to change. I don't want to say that the place for school is not there. It is there, but I'm saying a lot more is happening outside the 4 walls of the school. There are a lot of free courses online. During COVID, Harvard opened a lot of their online courses. So it means that things are changing. And we need to let the generation know that things are changing. So you're not going to a fantastic school, but you know there are fantastic things online. So people are learning to code. Your child can learn to code. And it's not only coding, your child can learn graphics. Your child can learn so many things, 3D printing. They can learn all these things just being exposed. And for us, what we're really about is how do we ignite that, change of mindset. It's not to like go to school or go to a coding school. No, there's so many things. There are new schools opening online on how to learn. And it's really how do we create that enabling environment. So my child needs to know that from an early age in nursery school, he needs to know that he can create something. He can go and learn online. And I think that's really what we're trying to do. We're trying to spark that interest. And one of the things that we're doing as a company is that we're currently organizing a STEM Fund Fest that is meant to happen in July. And the whole idea is let's bring all the kids, both in Lagos and online, and expose them to the various things. And let them know that you don't have to wait till your school brings it.
Right.
Because not only public schools that are affected, primary schools, but you can go and learn these things online, and there are a lot of vendors that can do that. Learn now. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Good enough. Nina is here, and I'm sure they will have something special for kids. Because when you were mentioning online learning, the DG's representative was taking notes and he was nodding his head. Please put your hands together for Nina. Thank you so much. David Amozie is the founder Disruptive Africa, an organization that pioneered blockchain and artificial intelligence in Nigeria. And David is also an app developer. He was instrumental to the coming to Nigeria of some unicorns like Uber. Please, let's put our hands together for David. David is not the traditional scholar, but there is a divide or a seeming friction between the old and the new. The system, or if you don't mind, maybe the bureaucrats, are somehow get this gospel of disruption to sink into the minds of those who run our national affairs.
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity, and it's a pleasure being here. So let me just dive straight into it. What you don't know, you call it a mystery. That's the truth. What you don't know, fear exists in the midst of lack of knowledge. Now, the first thing that the government wants to do is to get experts to help them look through the whole thing and draw out a roadmap on where the country should be. Like one of the mistakes I believe the country is making is what America and several other countries are doing, they are studying it and flowing with the wave. CBN banned cryptocurrency. That's why they banned. There was almost double in transaction of P2P transaction. They cannot track P2P transaction. Who is the loser at this point? There is so much money to be made if CBN is able to understand cryptocurrency and leverage it. Yeah, CBN came in with the e-naira, but nobody cares about e-naira. Why would you tie an e-naira to naira that is always falling every day? If the CBN come up with an e-naira and tie it to a kind of stable kind of currency that will not fall, then there is where it's now interoperable with other cryptocurrencies like the Bitcoin, the USDT, and the price is stable and it's solving the problem of the cross-border payment. Then it will be something attractive, for everybody. Now, there's also a huge opportunity that's also coming apart from the blockchain. Blockchain is not about cryptocurrency and payment. Right now, people are building, they call it DeFi, decentralized financing. People are building banks, something as good as central bank on the blockchain. And what's good about it is that I don't need to have those infrastructure because it is decentralized. People like Binance, Binance is not to 5 to 6 years, but they are bigger than banks in Nigeria. Just cryptocurrency on the blockchain, and all over the world, they are talking to everybody. So the government needs to understand there's so much opportunity they are losing if they don't sit down to understand this new technology. What is the strong buzzword is about the metaverse? I know it's a buzzword, but metaverse is not a buzzword really. Metaverse is basically, I know from hospital I've seen some kids playing games where you see there'll be a character going around fighting and doing a whole lot of things. But metaverse is like that, but it will now be a representation of you in a virtual world doing what you need to do. And that is why Facebook saw that one of the first applications of metaverse is social interaction. That is why Facebook has to move their name to Meta, because they want to stand as if they own that space. And if a Facebook can change their name from Facebook to Meta, it tells you there's something about it. McKinsey released a recent report from a few weeks ago, and they evaluated the value of the metaverse industry up to $5 trillion. And if you ask me, I believe Africa and even Nigeria need metaverse more than any of these states. Right? We have so much frictions in transportation, expenses. Now, metaverse is going to transform a whole lot of things. Education. I want to teach you how to be an aeronautic engineer. You say, okay, wait till you have excursion. No. In the metaverse platform, we could come up with an airplane in a 3D model, and they can interact with it. It's not just a theoretical or hypothetical thing. Big companies all over the world are already building their offices and companies in the metaverse, on the central land and so many places like that. And people like the big car companies, Mercedes-Benz, all of them, they are creating 3D versions of their vehicles so that you can go there and have an experience of what they are building. So metaverse is going to transform education, it's transforming customer experience. That I see it from the next 3 to 5 years from now, companies are going to divert their spending on real estate to the metaverse. Why? Instead of me having thousands of branches all over the places, why don't I have it on the metaverse platform, on the virtual world, where anybody can go and visit, you know? And there's also a concept they call digital twin, where you're replicating your physical infrastructure in the virtual world. You know, but there's a whole lot of things around. The government needs to get experts to help them work through that and come up with a strong national plan. The country is losing. Nigeria has one of the strongest and most vibrant cryptocurrency population in the world. But these other foreign companies are already milking it. And the central bank, the Nigerian government, is not doing anything. So there's a lot to be done, which cannot be covered here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, David. That was insightful. That was very impressive. Now let's hear from Wande Akalemo, who is the founder with 5 Wireless Limited. There is the issue of the need, according to TT, to go online, to be unconventional in seeking knowledge. The question is infrastructure. The question is broadband. The child in Karanamoda, the boy in Fortiscombe, the guy in Awe, and the little boy in the village in. So you wanted to mention your village. Yes. How do we get them connected in order to create that is it buzz, or to create that, to trigger that zeal, to ensure that learning becomes unconventional because of ability to access?
Thank you, everyone. It's a privilege to be here. To all my bosses, virtually everyone here is my boss because they were part of my journey as growing up, especially Dr. Barry Agabi. So you see, the question for me, Titi knows I'm the unconventional kind of Nigerian. I really don't believe that we need to rely on developed economies to get our things going, which is why I appreciate what the Lagos State government is doing. And I'm glad that Mr. Lake is here. You see, he said something very early on in his welcome address. He mentioned the fact that we need to build hard. We need to go hard. We like the shortcut in Nigeria. We like the easy way to get to the answers. It's not going to help us. It's not helping us at all. We are not the United States of America. So we can't have an Elon Musk, we can't have space travel. We still need that building block, the initial building block, before we can now begin to aspire to those things. And what's that initial building block? We need to have progressive broadband infrastructure. Can the government do it? Maybe. But the government has to take care of education, health, they take care of security, they'll take care of quite a number of things. So who will do it? It has to be an amalgamation of entrepreneurs and the government. And when we say entrepreneurs, we're becoming, this is the largest colonial country in the world in terms of software. Software is being developed, and I ask entrepreneurs, interestingly I wear 2 hats. I'm an entrepreneur, I build wireless networks, but I'm also, we build the software, right? Where do you put the software? Google app or the iOS? Who owns the devices? Are we developing any of those devices, or do they own those devices here? The Facebook you're talking about, the Google, the Amazon Web Services, it's not software. That's a lie. It's massive farms of server infrastructure that you're using. So these guys are building their infrastructure and extracting the 2 naira from you and use to build their infrastructure. So why don't you do the same here? So let me use my company as an example. And what we do, and what I believe in very strongly, is that there's no point antagonizing the government, especially people in our age range, 45 younger. There's no point going online and saying that the government is stupid, the government don't know what they're doing. I mean, you have people like him. I've not interacted with him face to face, but I have a cause to always interact with him when he's not there. And the Commission of Science and Tech is someone like an Egmont to me. So when we're interacting, he's always mentioning his name. You have people like him, you have very, very brilliant people in government. I mean, they're all here. Very brilliant people in government, and then you think that everybody in government is stupid. I think what needs to be done is that we need to now find a common ground. How can we help you solve the problems that you cannot solve now? So one of the things we did, and one of the things I'm doing right now to solve the broadband problem is, why don't we have pervasive Wi-Fi in Nigeria?
Who will provide it?
Great question. So what we did was walk up to the Lagos State government and say, can we have pervasive broadband in public places in Lagos State? Let's start with all of your BRT bus shelters in Lagos. And then Lamata says, well, is that possible? We say, it's possible. But we don't need any cover from you, right? I'm an entrepreneur, right? So we will create a system where we can monetize that Wi-Fi. So why can't we use one stone to kill two birds? And what are the two birds we want to kill? First of all, provide public pervasive Wi-Fi in every single BRT bus shelter and terminals all over Lagos. Why? Because there are 2 million Lagosians moving every single day, and they spend an average of 30 minutes to 1 hour at the bus stops. So when we say telecommuting, why can't they walk from where they are at the bus stations? And so they said, okay, let's try it at the busiest bus shelters we have. So we went to Ikorodu and TBS and we set it up there. And to my team, we're not going to put anything up, no advertising, nothing. Just put up Wi-Fi there and let people discover it. What we discovered was that within 5 days, 5,000 Lagosians connected to these networks. 5 days. In 30 days, we had 20 terabits of data had been downloaded. If I will connect my laptop to the screen here, you will see exactly how much I've downloaded today. On an average, between the hours of 9 in the morning and 10 and 11 in the morning, we have 190 gig downloaded every single day. That points to something. Nigerians need high speed, not just internet for the sake of it, right? It has to be quality because you need to respect people. True. So the government, Lamata is happy, so they say, okay, so progress, let's do this, right? The second thing we're doing is, so how do we monetize this? There are entrepreneurs in this room who need to reach customers. Where do we go to reach customers? We pay dollars to Facebook and YouTube and the rest of them, and we don't get value for that money. So why don't you build infrastructure that will enable entrepreneurs to reach someone on Wi-Fi right there and then on his phone. So he sees your ad and says, oh, okay, I want to interact with this ad, interact with the ad, he gets on his storefront, he buys, and we get a local delivery company to deliver to that person. So so broadband is not just for the sake of getting online, it solves problems. And that's what we're doing. We're doing value-added Wi-Fi services. And Lamata is very happy now because the commuters in Ikorodu and TBS, anytime there's an issue with maybe it's solar panels and then we have to rush there, you get to go, you see thousands of Lagosians say, it's not working, it's not working. And you're like, oh man. And I'm like, okay, this is what we want to hear, right? We need to begin to collaborate with government and entrepreneurs to solve our nascent problems. America will not come and solve our problems for us. We need to close our eyes and put money in that infrastructure. If you don't do it, I mean, he was speaking about fiber optics. We're taking fiber optics to every single bus stop. It's not radio, because radio won't solve it. I mean, the kind of capacities we're looking at. And that's costing us money. Ikorodu costs about 2 million naira to get fiber there. And I'm going to go to Lagos State and say, Lagos State, come and pay my 2 million naira. Just because people can get online. The next thing we want to do, maybe I'll get his help, is to now start a conversation with the Lagos State Electricity Board to say your street lights are just wasting away. Let's put Wi-Fi on your street lights so that we can have pervasive Wi-Fi in every single street in Lagos. City can now say, I want to come up with a program for out-of-school kids. They don't need to be in the classrooms, and collaborate with the Lagos State government to say, how can we help our students who are out of school to connect to, Wi-Fi is free anyway, so what can we do with devices and gadgets or places where they can go to? A few months ago, I was talking to an entrepreneur who wanted to set up something about street school. And then I asked street school, and I said, and so she came up with a model, and I said that model won't work. The model that will work is that we have viewing centers all over the place. These viewing centers, when they're not showing football matches, they show some movies and see kids going there. Why don't you partner with those viewing centers and then become teaching centers for these out-of-school kids? And when we say out-of-school kids, in Lagos, it's really not a major problem. We have kids who cannot access resources online, so make them access your resources in these places. Entrepreneurship and government working together. And so if the model works in Lagos, and I can go to Nasarawa, say, Nasarawa, can we try this in Nasarawa? I can go to Oyo, I can go anywhere else. And then in 5 years, we have maybe 15 to 20 states in Nigeria with the same model. everybody is happy. Majority of us are online. Quality broadband access, not just the kind of buckets of 1 gig or 2 gig we're selling to ourselves today. And then we have the infrastructure that cannot begin to help us get to the next level we want to get to.
Thank you, Andy. Ensure that we are shareholders in that venture. Is it that high? Alright, let's do a hands together. Alright, thank you so much. Engineer Festus Alawode is an engineer of repute. He's a fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, and he's also the producer of Engineering Today Network. Trends in engineering are not just disruptive, they are changing at the speed of light. Yesterday, I was working with my 9-year-old boy, and I asked him, what would you like to become in future? And the guy said, engineer. I didn't ask a further question, and he said, particularly civil engineering. And I was looking at the 9-year-old civil engineering. That means he has an understanding that engineering is not, a generalized concept. Now, Engineer Festus, my question is this. To build cities of the future, do we need to bring Julius Berger? To build the emerging cities, the mega cities like Lagos, how do we ensure that capacities, local content help us to deliver these to meet the yearnings of Nigerians?
Let me start by saying that engineering, actually we all know that, is the bedrock of whatever we do, and that word has become very rhetoric, and everybody says it, but we are not really acting it, and it's quite unfortunate. But to go straight to your answer, I will pick a few things. Of course, engineering is knowledge-based, and that fundamentally we need to know that we need to set the tone for knowledge. And when you get knowledge, you got to study. Where do you study? You got to go to school. That is basic. So the first thing is, as earlier speaker has said, we must set a very resounding tone that we need to find a common space whereby the knowledge derived in the study of engineering is conventional, is global, and is trending, as it were. I need to let you know that evolution of engineering is transcending biotechnology, as it were. You are talking of industrial revolution from the first stage, second stage, third stage, fourth stage, and the fifth stage. Now, China and some other developed countries are even moving ahead of biotechnology. I don't want to bore you with those revolutions because you know very well how they all transit. There are times that we are trying to use we call it H-stone, that you have to crack your stone to bring fire. You come to the era of steam, you need some energy. You come to the era of, lately, the information technology, and then you come to biotechnology. But like I said, when you look at the regulatory bodies, you talk of CORE, the Council for the Regulation of Nigerian Engineers, which I'm a certified engineer of, and then the Nigerian Society of Engineers, which I'm also a fellow, you find out that things are changing. You may not know. We are not doing it the way we used to do it, because now we are aware that the future of engineering is actually in the application of the trending knowledge, the global trending knowledge. And then if we don't afford ourselves of what is happening globally, so that we're able to meet up with what we use AI to do, IoTs, and some other medium, whereby that will give us that leverage to meet up with the future, near future occurrence of engineering. Now let me go directly to what you said. You find out that we have this collapse of structures, You know, even sometimes some of these structures are built by certified engineers. Then when I've been a part of a committee that was to probe a particular collapse of structure, and then although I'm an electrical engineer up to PhD level, but you just find out that by the time you look at what happened to why these buildings collapse, even with a certified civil engineer, structural engineer, architecturals and what have you, you find out that somebody has failed. Now, do I need to go to China or US or UK to go and study how to do mega structure? Let me tell you the fact. When I went to school, even though somebody is saying that when she did mechanical engineering, I work on lathe machines, and I've graduated now for over 30 years. I work on lathe machines. I did a lot of practicals in electrical engineering, civil engineering. Let me tell you the truth. The curriculum we have today,
okay,
we need to up it. We need to give it up. We need to give it up. Because if we don't give it up, then we will still be at the background. Not only giving it up, you find out that the kind of people, the youth we have today, you see, we have a lot of issues, a lot of fundamental problems. We all know, as we all know that the youth of today just want the money. We need to find an advocacy platform, first of all, to begin to reorient the psyche of these young ones from this rush to making money as it were. If you are in school, you must stay in school because the future of going to school is greater than if I can fetch you more money than you trying to get money in the meantime.
Okay, engineer, please let's address this very quickly. For those who have been to maybe the Asian Tigers, they say there is Asian engineering or technology. There is German technology or engineering. There is Roman technology. Please, is there Nigerian technology or engineering so that we can address Nigerian specific challenges and issues? How do we deal with this?
The truth of the matter is that there is no, when you look at technology ladder, UK is at the origin of engineering. Japan, China, all they capitalize on the invention made by UK to develop, and every other country or nation now begin to ride on the initial originated engineering to develop and then modify and keep remodifying as it were. There is no nation that do not have a specific engineering technology because it's conventional. But when you come to Nigeria and you begin to ask that question that do we have our own engineering? Engineering is global. What you are saying is that have we been able to sit, the group of engineers, have we able to sit down and invent something? If you go to our school, I'm a PhD student, the master's project I did is still in OAU Technology Park. I did a recycling plant and it's still there as a prototype. You understand? Obafemi University. Recycling plant at the technology park of OAU. Now what I'm telling you is that with that kind of engineering, I also adapted it, but I developed it and modified it. So if in the recess of we're going to have any engineering design from Nigeria, it's going to be an invention. And that invention will be developed. And then you can begin to accrue it yourself and say, okay, this engineering thing that we have done is named after Nigeria because it's a group. But to say that there is no university or polytechnic that doesn't have a R&D department, research and development, that money is being invested for people to discover things and invent things. And that would be
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's instructive to know that she is the first female to be the chairperson of the Lagos State chapter of the Cybersecurity Experts Association of Nigeria. Please put your hands together. We're talking security. He mentioned deployment of fiber optics. He mentioned infrastructure and dignity and our nationhood by ensuring that all of these congregation of solutions idea driven digitally are secured and protected before we wake up to find that what Mr. Tim Akao says, one nation, has swallowed us.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for having me. It's funny that I've been scribbling since the first speaker started talking. You know, I've just been writing a lot of things down. Because as fantastic as all the ideas, you know, that they've mentioned are, we also have to look at the security implications of everything that they've said. When we got into the hall this morning, you know, somebody walked around and said, "Oh, free Wi-Fi, this is the password," and you know, I just smiled and I was like, "Oh." One of the first things we talk about is don't join free Wi-Fi. No Wi-Fi is actually free.
It belongs to Radisson Blue.
But it doesn't matter, Hillary. Somebody could be somewhere there jamming that signal, and you know, and then you just join, you log in, and you do a financial transaction, and somebody has your username and password already.
Please, you can check your account balance.
Do you understand? So it's simple things like that. So awareness and education are key if we need to move our nation forward. The first or the final line of defense are the people. So forget, even for industries, even if you have all the solutions in place, you have all the infrastructure, you have everything, your last line of defense are your people. So we need to elevate our nation to a point where our people are security conscious. There's a certain security consciousness within the nation. And I'm happy with what Titi also said. You know, we've discovered that there's a shortage of cybersecurity experts all around the world. It's not just Nigeria. There's a shortage. So it's interesting that quickly we're beginning to tap into STEM for children, trying to drive and catch them young. You know, immediately we're trying to do that. So that's fantastic. I like that. And then we've talked about digital skills also. So it's not about going to school to read and write anymore. Everything is transcending. So there's a very thin line. I'm very happy with the lead speaker, as in IoT, Internet of Things, Internet of Everything. There's a very thin line between our online life and our physical life right now. Because we're exchanging so much data, so much of our personal information is out there. And we're going to be seeing a lot of that. Where just from looking at the camera of your phone, you can actually make a purchase because it has authenticated you as a user. Of how to keep yourself safe, then you're going to be vulnerable. And your being vulnerable can actually bring down a critical infrastructure of a nation. So somebody sends you a free flash drive. You're an engineer somewhere, you're managing maybe Kanji Dam, for instance. Now. Somebody sends you a free flash drive. You just plug it into your laptop. There's a virus there. It shuts down water flow. National grid crashes. There's no electricity anywhere. That's how these things work. That's why it's very important, education and awareness. And then, you know, we also have to look at, he's talked about the metaverse. Yes, fantastic. A lot of us who are also in IT are just trying to understand what the metaverse is. And there's a lot of things that can happen there. So as much as we want to tap into these things, we also need to leverage on understanding the technologies. It still comes down to education. So we must learn, unlearn and relearn. Which is why I'm happy with what the lead speaker said. The moment you stop learning, that means you are dead. So we must open ourselves up to learning the new technologies, understanding them, understanding the vulnerabilities, and understanding how we can protect ourselves. Only then is when we can say as a nation, yes, we have arrived or we're getting there. But I'm happy with what the kind of policies or the things that people like NCC, NIPDA, you know, things that they are doing right now in those type of spaces. Trying as much as possible to ensure that, you know, globally or well, as far as Nigeria is concerned, we have emergency response teams that can quickly, you know, swing into action should we encounter anything, a global threat, you know, that aims to crash our economy or do something to the nation. So awareness and education are strongest tools. We need to build up our people. We are our weakest link and we are the strongest link.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We're calling a wrap on the conversation, but very quickly, I'm not going to ask them any further question, but I'm just going to tell them in 60 seconds, let's quickly wrap up our thoughts. Should there be questions from the audience, please, you can call a friend or use 50-50.
The first one has been, the first one is
finances in robotics. We've been training coding for the past 4 years and robotics for the past 1 year. But now a couple of schools, we've trained over 2,005 students and so on. One of the problems we have that we've not touched is coding or robotics is extremely so expensive. And we're not talking about that part.
Okay, Mr. Tuboso will answer you what the state government is doing to ensure that they subsidize these kind of technologies.
A video was sent to me from my office. We have just 3 students around building robots, and we actually built our own robot, which you can program with C programming language.
What's the name of the robot?
So basically we use Arduino. We did our own components ourselves. My question to the Nigeria kids is that, do you have a platform where we can market it and have it on your platform?
And then the second one is another one that is paid in partnership with MTN, Glo, and some of the other EdTech partners. So we can also look at that. I think in the end, one of the things that is key is collaboration. One day said as much. It's collaboration between private and government. No one person. I don't believe it. I know people are always shouting on Twitter and shouting on whatever, this and that. But I feel like we all come together. Nothing great was built alone. If you look at all the infrastructure that we have that have made great strides, everything was built in collaboration. When you look at needs, interswitch, collaboration with banks. No, they didn't wait for government. A lot of it was collaboration with banks. So the more we can collaborate in the space, in EdTech, to create what will be a platform for all of us, the better for all of us.
Thank you.
On and all of that. If those guys decide to turn the taps off, you understand, the entire ecosystem is in trouble. So we need to build our own cloud infrastructure. And that's what's driving our, the data centers and all the investments that we are making. But we want to support some of these emerging technologies and some of these startups. So the Lagos State Science Research and Innovation Council, they have call-outs. What you do is you apply for these call-outs. You put in your applications there, your business, your MVP, and then it's adjudicated by a panel of judges. And then if you scale through, you are called for an interview. And if you do pass the interview, then you are given a grant. And it's completely no strings attached money. It's not anything. So this is one of our beneficiaries, actually. She got the STEM award. I think at the time it was around 10K or $10,000. Yeah. So that was the grant. She benefited from the STEM call-out, because we also have call-outs for STEM for kids in secondary schools and universities. So it's something you can take advantage of. Look out for the call-outs. If you go to LASRIC, lasric.lagosstate.gov.ng, watch out for the call-outs, and you can take advantage of the grants that Lagos State gives to startups and R&D initiatives.
Thank you so much. Let's take Mr. Peter Amonke's question so that the panel will respond. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Peter. I just want to focus more on the same engineering and development. I am really, really very pleased to have an engineer on your platform, because engineers, they're like lawyers who will tell you they don't advertise, they don't want to talk. You asked a very, very, very critical question, talking about the Julius Berger's of this world, but I was waiting to get the response, but I did not get that response. But my question is this, sir. You do a lot, engineers do a lot. In fact, today, the NSC president visited News Engineering in Abuja. And I'm amazed that, yes, they are coming out to the fore right now, beginning to do a lot of things. And more importantly, for us to begin to celebrate our own in Nigeria, go to various states and see what some indigenous engineers are doing. My question, sir, is, what are you doing for Nigerians to see some of the things we are doing? We have a lot of Chinese in this country today. They've taken over your jobs. So what are you guys doing? And how can we fight this battle? And I'm grateful we have government officials here. How can we take this?
And then you consent to President Buhari and sign the local content law as well. And what it means is clear that there is no foreign company that comes to Nigeria. You can only be a figure CEO. Everybody that works under you, up to the execution, design, planning, execution, and whatever construction, the local engineer must be involved. Now, the enforcement of this is where current and NSC comes in. And that is what they are doing. You know, when you start something, it doesn't just come out straight immediately. You know, the result will not just be seen immediately because you have left it moribund. As such, for you, for a long time, you have to continue to put more effort into it and then be doing that. Now, for you to see what the policy makers and the policy executioners are doing, like current, like I told you, the formation of current was to regulate, and in regulating their enforcement too, as it were. All these things, the past current registrar, Professor Dikere, did a lot of work to set out the pace. So you have a lot of zonal coordinators of current that are doing all these things. But you see, media has a lot to do with us. You know, because if these things are not propagated through the mediums, as it were, then you wouldn't know what we are doing. Now, let me tell you, I'm the General Secretary of Nigerian Society of Engineers currently. This week now, we're having an innovation, we call it Innovation Week. And we are bringing a lot of STEM students, you know, students from the university, students from primary school, even up to our university, primary, secondary, with innovations. We are not only showcasing the innovation, we partner with Europe. We are not only we are going to publicize it. We have our own journal, as it were. We'll publicize it, and then we call the media to showcase in a press conference, and then take the policy document and all these inventions to the government's door, as it were. So we are doing a lot to make all the engineers gone at this. I'm telling you, I know what I'm doing, and that's why when I was at the red carpet, when they told me, when they asked me, I told them, for me, this invention, revolution is coming. Me as a person, I'm ready because I know what it means. Because I know exactly what it means. And then if you have 1 me, 2 me, 3 me, 4 me, then all these things we are saying will have been we'll meet it up.
I hope those are not indirect names of registered companies. 1 me Nigeria Limited, 2 me Nigeria PLC, but carry us along, sir. Thank you. Let me just tell the panelists from my right to call it a wrap on your submission and your conclusion very quickly in 45 seconds from Olamide.
Okay, so I will still tell everybody in the room, cybersecurity is everybody's responsibility. So let's just take time out. Let's unlearn those things that we think we know. Let's open ourselves up to more learning, and then let's just try and make the world a safer place. Like I said, there's a very thin line right now between our lives online and our lives offline. So let's just take note. Cybersecurity is everybody's responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you.
Like I said, engineering is a broad knowledge, and if there's anything to do to improve via engineering the future we are looking at, everybody must be abreast of the trends in engineering. So I want to employ everybody, right from when you are giving back to your children, your kids, let them understand that whatever skill they are learning from their primary school, from nursery, primary, is very essential, not only for them, but for the development of the nation where they are going to live. And they are going to exhibit that knowledge.
Thank you so much, Mr. Randy.
For me, it's still, we need a deliberateness in collaboration.
Deliberateness.
The deliberateness, it has to be deliberate. We have to be patriotic. We have to love this nation. I mean, all the fights online, all the walls we're building, it's completely unnecessary. We have to be deliberately intentional that we want a better nation. And we can do it in a very short period of time. And that's where I stand.
If you were a politician, I would just say, Mr. Deliberate. Thank you so much. Yes, David.
Right, so we're in the Future Summit, right? So what I have to say is for the government to create some kind of system that will help us create the next billionaires. The next technology that are going to meet the next billionaires is the metaverse, and even the cryptocurrency is meeting them. And it's very important the government take strategic steps to work with organizations to empower the youth and create the ecosystem. The ecosystem for this technology is not yet formed. In our programs in 2015, we started talking about blockchain and the rest of them, and we look like we're not serious. But now a lot of people, their life have turned around. money has shifted and people have become more powerful. And I think if the government is really concerned about youth, the Lagos State government, they are doing a lot too. We need to look at how we can, help the next youth, to start building this acumen so that the nation can flourish. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I think it was Abraham Lincoln that said the best way to predict the future is to create it. So for me, the best way we can predict Nigeria's future is to create it with the children that are currently in primary school. We need to start early. And let's go outside of, let's be radical, let's go outside of the existing structures that kind of provide limitations. We need to equip them and start now. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I think I'll conclude with what I started with, which is what that we have to build, we have to do the hard things now. And we can't follow the path of least resistance. There are so many things that China started investing in before they were where they were, and that is what is producing some of the benefits that they see now. And I also want to give people another sense of regulation. You see, people like the CBN, I'm not an employee of the CBN, but I could understand that their own philosophy is protection first. To protect the already established rules because of financial stability of the system, and to make sure that, it's like in a race. Imagine if, Usain Bolt and the rest of the runners, there were no lines to demarcate them. It will be pandemonium. It will be a free-for-all. And so these are why these establishments have been established.
For the government to create some kind of system that will help us create the next billionaires. The next technology that are going to meet the next billionaires is the metaverse, and even the cryptocurrency is meeting them. And it's very important the government takes strategic steps to work with organizations to empower the youth and create the ecosystem. The ecosystem for this technology is not yet formed. In our programs in 2015, we started talking about blockchain and the rest of them, and we look like we're not serious. But now a lot of people, their life have turned around. Money has shifted and people have become more powerful. And I think the government is really concerned about youth. The Lagos State government, they are doing a lot too. We need to look at how we can, help the next youth, to start building this acumen so that the nation can flourish. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I think it was Abraham Lincoln that said the best way to predict the future is to create it. So for me, the best way we can predict Nigeria's future is to create it with the children that are currently in primary school. We need to start early. And let's go outside of, let's be radical, let's go outside of the existing structures that kind of provide limitations. We need to equip them and start now.
Thank you so much,
Thank you very much. I think I'll conclude with what I started with, which is what that we have to build, we have to do the hard things now. And we can't follow the path of least resistance. There are so many things that China started investing in before they were where they were, and that is what is producing some of the benefits that they see now. And I also want to give people another sense of regulation. You see, people like the CBN, I'm not an employee of the CBN, but I could understand that their own philosophy is protection first. To protect the already established rules because of financial stability of the system, and to make sure that, it's like in a race. Imagine if, Usain Bolt and the rest of the runners, there were no lines to demarcate them. It will be pandemonium. It will be a free-for-all. And so these are why these establishments have been established, to define the rules. And I know the SEC has also set up a sandbox, for cryptos and all other DeFi. So some of these agencies are moving in the right direction. I agree with you that there needs to be a lot of collaboration. But let me tell you the other thing that regulation can do. In the US, some of the regulations that came up created new areas of value. If you look at how a company like Standard Oil was broken up in the old days, Standard Oil became Mobile, Texaco, you know, all those companies. And the laws that they set up that time, they were like, this is against business. But it eventually created value in multiple places. You know, some of the rules that also curtailed the financial industry, the financial crisis in 2008 was actually a loosening of rules that led to all of those issues. And now they had to do the Frank Dodd rules, which protected people. Agencies like NDIC came out of the Great Depression because it was a free-for-all, right? And people lost tons, their life savings, everything. And so this is the philosophy that some of these agencies come from and say, okay, you know what, let's put on the brakes. Innovation is good, but it has another side to it, right? And so we have to, you know, proceed in a measured manner. So I think that they are for innovation. There has to be collaboration to understand their side, and they will also understand your side. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please, let's put our hands together. And we take a very quick
I'd like to say we in National State, we're grateful, we're thankful that the impact His Excellency Engineer Abdullah A. Sule, blending corporate governance in politics in National State, is not just visible within the state itself, but it is gathering a lot of encouragement, accolade, and a lot of appreciation and awards like this. We would like to thank Digivation for the award of Icon of Digital Economy and Impact in the social and economic space of the country, which is being conferred on Nasarawa State to His Excellency His Excellency Engineer Abdullah A. Sule. And we'd like to say that this actually is an inspiration for us to work even harder to make sure that we put in place e-government, digital economy, and see how we make Nasarawa State indeed an IT savvy state in the country. Thank you so very much for your vote of confidence, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Now a professor. Yes. I want to say a very big thank you. I want to say a very big thank you to you for what you have doing for ICT world. And High Chief Abibola Amoneri, who is our chairman, said you actually use ICT to fight for June 12. And as a result, he asked us to present this book to you called Democracy and the Untold Story of June 12. So this is for you from High Chief Abibola Amoneri.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
Organizers of this summit for the award given to NITDA. Is a recognition of what the Director General, Kashifu Ido Abdullahi, have been doing to reposition the agency and to achieve the vision of the agency, which is to proactively develop Nigeria into a sustainable digital economy. I want to extend his appreciation and also thank the organizer for this very wonderful recognition given to NIDA that's been championed by able, dynamic, and innovative and entrepreneurship-driven Director General in the name of Madam Ino Kashifu. Thank you.
is Digivation Network.